Hello and welcome to another video. I am so happy to have you here. I have some big plans for this sketch session, mainly because it's Christmas and I'm so excited to draw some Christmas things. My plan for today is to sketch things up with alcohol marker and then give it some really cool texture and details with colored pencil. I've been getting sick off and on for about a month now and I can't seem to shake it. It's like I get it and then I get over it and then 2 days later I get it again. It's really frustrating. By the way, this is the Arrtx alcohol marker. I can never say alcohol and acrylic without thinking about it really hard. They both start with A's. So in my head it's like, oh yeah, that's the same word, but it's absolutely not the same word. These are alcohol markers by golly. I have had a new sketchbook for some time now. This is specifically a marker pad, and I have never tried the Arrtx acrylic markers in this marker pad. What's really cool about using pastel markers as your base is you can always adjust the drawing as you go with the colored pencils. Just a heads up, whenever I use colored pencil to color, I'm going to be speeding up the video because I think it's really cool to watch colored pencil be colored penciled fast. So that's what we're doing. Enjoy. This whole time I thought that I was using Tuscan Red, which is my absolute favorite color by Prismacolor, and this is not, this is brown. So once I realized that, I switched over to the Tuscan Red color, and I just really enjoy doing Tuscan Red in the ear because the ears are naturally like a red hue because of the blood vessels and the really thin skin in the ear. So I love how it brings the ear to life, you know, because this whole drawing is all about the ear. I was so excited to be drawing all of these things, so I really took my time. And then I finished yesterday and I was like, oh my gosh, I have like 1 day to edit this and put voice over it. And I have to do a voiceover because where I draw, my kids are out of school and it's very loud all the time when I draw. And so I have to turn the volume down in my videos so that I can actually you can enjoy it instead of hearing all the different noises in the background. So you're welcome. Hi, my name is Hannah, by the way. I haven't introduced myself yet. Also, it says on my channel what my name is. So, hi. So much of what I do is just kind of dink around with different things and slowly get better, hopefully, and just kind of grow like an arsenal of little skill sets that I can apply to future drawings. I feel like I'm getting better. My husband says I'm getting better, so that's true. He never lies to me. Also, look at this really fast drawing of colored pencil. It's so beautiful. And I do have to let you know, this was the very first time that I sketched today. Well, when I drew this Santa. After I drew the other two things on this spread, I looked back at the Santa and I was like, oh my gosh, these other two things are so much better than the Santa. So I go back and I make the Santa super epic, and this spread is something else. Not to toot my own horn or something, but I am absolutely tooting, and it's horning loud. But at this point was when I thought I was done with Santa. What on earth was wrong with me to think that? I don't know, but stick around because next we are drawing Cindy Lou Who from the live movie. She is like the most incredibly darling girl. So we're gonna draw her. I've been wanting to draw her for a really long time now, but she is really intimidating because of her hair. She has insane hair on so many levels. So we're just gonna go into this with no expectation and no pressure. No pressure. And we're just gonna go at it. So I'm sketching with my alcohol markers. I'm trying to block out just the general shapes that I see and trying to get down like the proportions of everything. I don't care if the marker ends up going outside of the lines. I think that would end up actually looking really cool if, I don't know, I think the coloring outside the lines thing, if it's done well, it can look amazing. So that's kind of why I'm using the chisel tip also, is to kind of encourage just looseness and not worry so much about details. I struggled a little bit with getting these little ribbon pieces of hair down with my chisel tip because there's like a little piece in my brain that thinks that I have to do everything all at once. So I had to keep reminding myself that I'm going to be coming back in with the colored pencil. So like, settle down. Everything is going to be fine. Only get like the very basics down for now, and then we can really start to stress, okay? So now I am going in and doing the polka dots of her dress and trying to stay loose with the chisel tip. I thought it would be really cool to keep it chisel tippy and have it be all square and, you know, kind of play off on the angularness of the chisel tip. I noticed that she also has like these tiny polka dots too, so I just turned the chisel tip around and used the other side. And she also has them in her hair ribbons. And I'm trying to not think about what I'm gonna have to do for those right now, because that could very easily stress me out and make me not even want to do it. So much of this is just trying to remain like a dog. You know, dogs are always in the here and now, and we can really learn from them. And they don't think about the future, they don't think about the past, they think about right now and what I'm doing right now. So I am a dog. Welcome. These lips were, well, you'll see. You'll see, I don't have to say anything about them. I wanted to try to capture my goal with the alcohol marker. Since I'm using a pink right now, it's going to be a very subtle pink, but I wanted to get down the color of all the pink areas, her blush, her nose, her ears, and her lips. Just so I can block it out so that when I do start using the colored pencil, I have like a reference point to work from. I also found during this spread specifically, I found that when I do the blush and the nose first, it makes drawing the face so incredibly easy. Sorry, I just realized I got really excited right there. It makes it, it makes it kind of fun to draw. These lips, so I started adding in the colored pencil to the lips, and this is probably one of my most favorite mouths that I've ever drawn. I have fun drawing mouths that are straightforward, and when they start to get like turned to the side, that's when I really have to like turn on 100% focus and not think anything, say anything, do anything except for inhale the mouth. Disgusting, please don't listen to exactly what I just said. Also, her hollow eyes are going to have pupils, don't worry. Now I'm just going in and adding just a little bit of shading, and this is my absolute favorite part. It's like whenever I get to hold my pencil really far away and just encourage like that really dusty look, I'm I love it. I have like a love-hate relationship with eyes, and I think my problem is that I have a love-hate relationship with pupils. So I am not going to be adding in her pupils. I'm just going to have it be just one big iris and just kind of try to leave it a little bit dusty. Maybe have like a little bit of crispness right here. For these braids, I ended up just outlining each of the, what are they called? Each of the fingers of the braid, stitches of the braid. And that was the only way that I could actually get a grasp on what was happening within the braid because of the twist and turn and perspective shift as it's going closer to the head. I wish that I could have come at it from a more like abstract perspective and only added in like the light change. So like adding in only where the shadows are, kind of like how I'm doing the ribbon right now. This, I'm only adding in shadows. I'm not really adding in any super harsh lines. And from here you can kind of tell that it's ribbons, even though it's not completely like in your face, it's a ribbon. I wish that I did that kind of thing for the braids. Maybe in the future I'll figure out how I can go about doing that, but for this, I did the best with what I could, and it is what it is. This is all just like a learning experience. It's all just having fun, and as soon as it stops being fun, that's when you have to like take a step back and just reassess. But for these ribbons, I decided to add in some tails to ribbons that weren't in the picture because I was worried that it wasn't clear enough that they were ribbons. So an obvious trait of ribbons is the ribbon tail. So I wanted to add that in so you're like, oh, okay, this is a ribbon and not just like some random, I don't know, stuff on her head. I decided to shift gears and work on her outfit because the hair was just becoming it was becoming very daunting for me, and that's when art stops being fun. So I wanted to take a break from that and switch gears, and then once I start having fun again, then I'm gonna switch back into the hair. I realized at this point that the way that I needed to tackle this was exactly like I said, and just block out all of the shadows and keep it a little bit abstract. See, if I could have done this without having the outline around all of it, I think it would look so epic. So I wanted to try to minimize the look of the outline. So I went over it just with like the side of my pencil and just brushed it, and it kind of made the outline disappear just a little bit. Hair can be such a complicated thing, and I'm trying to figure out in my life how I can draw hair in a simple way that still looks really cool. And it's not something that I'm actively practicing. It's just that every time that I do practice hair, I try something a little bit different. And the way that I went about doing these ribbons was just all the parts that were going back, I colored them in darker. And it did give it a naturally round appearance for all these ribbons, and I'm so happy about it. I feel like whenever you practice something, or whenever you do something, you're getting a little bit better, whether you realize it or not. And I think that's just a beautiful thing, is you're learning without even knowing you're learning. Just by doing something, and keeping your hands busy with art supplies, you'll figure out a way to make it work. When I started drawing Cindy Lou Who, I wanted the focus to be on her hair and a little bit of her face, but I wanted the shirt to kind of not be so detailed so that the focus could really stay on the hair. And I feel like I'm pretty much done with her the way that I wanted her to end up. Now looking back at Santa just kind of looks like wah wah. Don't worry, he'll get cooler. For this spot, I tinkered around with a lot of options for what could be here, but I settled on tiny carolers. So in this spot, I'm going to draw 3 carolers kind of in this position. And here will be the feet, and then I want them all to be different heights. So one tall, the tallest one in the middle, and then, yeah, kind of like this. And then the heads are going to be, the left one is going, the head's going to be facing left. The middle head is, I will warn you that I went about this, since I had no plans, this is so all over the place, the order that I am drawing this. So please bear with me. It gets cool, I promise. I draw the heads with alcohol markers before I have any kind of drawing down because I wanted to stay along the pattern of just sketching with alcohol markers. I want all of their skin tones to be different because that's interesting, is just to have different variations of color going on. But once I got all of the heads down, I got too excited and I finished pretty much most of the heads before I do anything with the body. So, hair is next, and I wanted to be really fun. I wanted to take advantage of the pastel colors in this marker set and have it just be crazy colors, not very realistic, but still really cute. Hair for me is something that I have so little imagination with, but I'm hoping that using crazy colors will make up the difference for these hairstyles being really boring, in my opinion. However, the green hair dude on the left, I made him have a little alfalfa hair, and I love it so much. He's like the cutest little green hair alfalfa dude, which makes me really want to draw alfalfa someday, and I'm probably going to do that because I'm really into like not old, maybe like 90s movies recently. Sandlot. Just watched Sandlot because it became available on Netflix and me and the kids watched it and it was incredible. And now that's all I want to do. So I want to introduce them to the alfalfa movie. What the heck is it called? Oh my goodness. You know what I'm talking about. Darla. Okay, we're going to do that. I'll have to draw something about it. So if you're interested in that, stick around. It'll come probably in the next few months. I can't dedicate you to a timeline because I don't know anything that happens in my life. I fly by the seat of my pants and that's how I like it most days. I have a vision in my head for what I want these guys to look like, and I really hope that I can achieve it. So this guy is going to he's looking off to the left and has he's doing like an ooh, and he's going to be open-eyed. And I want his lips to be pursing out in like an ooh manner. I'm not sure how to draw that, so I end up drawing several iterations of the ooh mouth, and I figured that this one is the best one. What made the difference that I liked was drawing a shadow under that lip. Instead of outlining the actual bottom lip, I let the bottom lip be open and just have a shadow there. So this middle girl, she's facing us, and I picture that her chin is going upwards and she's, singing out to the heavens. And I don't know that I necessarily capture the upward facing aspect of that, but she does turn out, spoiler alert, she's my absolute favorite one. I didn't expect it because the eyes at the very beginning turn out very cartoonish and I didn't like it at first. Turns out when you just kind of keep going and don't give up on things, it pays off. The fact that this little guy has a ponytail is hilarious to me. I picture him to be like the Outlander guy, but in like little tiny baby cartoon boy form. And I absolutely love him, probably just for that reason alone. Outlander is probably one of my top 10 favorite shows of all time. It's so good. I think about it a lot. Not like the love story part of it, surprisingly. I think about what it would be like just to live in the old times. Back to this drawing, what you're here for. I am going to be sketching this out, but I have to warn you, I am a very slow sketcher, so I'm going to be speeding up this process quite a bit to try to make it a little bit fun to be a part of. That took a lot longer than it needed to take, so I'm glad that I was able to shorten it for you. I love how they turned out. So now I need to think about the color palette, and I don't want this to be a very complicated coloring thing, so I want it to be very limited in the colors that I choose. So I'm coloring up the skin, all the skinny bits, while I think about the color scheme. But this has to change. He has to be a lot more in the same foot line as the other two people. And I decided to go with a cotton candy type theme. I didn't think about that as I was drawing this, but it just kind of happened that way, and I love it. So everybody has a little bit of pink, everybody has a little bit of green. So my goal for right now is just to get the alcohol marker down, and then we will color it up with colored pencil after. I'm going to erase what I can of the underdrawing first. I'm not too worried about the parts that don't come off, but if I can take them off, I'll take them off. Once I get to adding the colored pencil, it's like the whole world just kind of opens, and you can really add any color. You don't have to stick with the pink and greens. The pink and green undertone is already there, so you can add any color with colored pencil that your heart desires, and it's still gonna look pink and green. You'll see what I mean by that at the end, because I add a very large assortment of colors in here, and it still looks pink and green. I found that the easiest way for me to go about doing the colored pencil sketch on top is to start with like your most neutral, most mid-tone that you can, and just kind of get that everywhere first. Once you have that down, then you can decide where you want the shadows to be and the highlights. And once you have all those parts down, that's when you can start adding in the really crazy colors, and it turns out awesome. So right now what I'm working on is just getting the neutral color. When I say neutral, I mean like mid-tone. So nothing too dark, nothing too light, just going and getting like the most basic pink and greens in to get the texture down. And I'm also adding very slight variations of pressure to try to push, just a little bit of shadow. And now I'm going in and deepening up some of the shadows with a red color for the pinks. You can really start to see the direction that it's headed. So if you go into this wanting to do all of this all at once, it's going to get very overwhelming. So you have to start and do like one step at a time. And then as you start to add all of these things, one step at a time, you'll see where you want to push things and where you want to maybe hold things back. A little bit of blush for the face, and I end up using a lot of colors for the face too. So when I do the face, I notice that I do a lot of the brighter colors, a lot of the warm tones. I also really like to add the blush color to the knees and fingers if I can, because it adds just like that little detail, that little tiny feeling of life in the body too, and not just in the face. The trick to doing colored pencil in this way is to do layers so incredibly lightly so that you can keep building the layers on top and on top and on top. The more layers that you add lightly, the more alive it's going to feel. And that's something that I learned in this little tiny sketch exactly. I hope you all are having a great Christmas Eve and Christmas. I hope that you have lots of plans, because if you have a full day, I feel like that's what makes the day feel magical. We have some traditions in my family, but not very many, and I would like to start incorporating more traditions. If you have some that you just absolutely love doing, please let me know. I am all ears. One thing that I want to try to do is, my kids love to draw a lot, and I want to do this thing where I get butcher paper and have a huge, maybe 6 feet of it, and I will draw out like some empty outlines of Christmas drawings, like bell, reindeer, just really cute kid-friendly drawings all over this butcher paper so that it looks like a giant coloring page. Now I'm going to start talking very quietly now, and I hope you can still hear me, because my daughter cannot hear what I am about to say, and she's just in the other room right now. I got my daughter some alcohol markers for the very first time. She has always wanted her own set, and I'm so excited for her that she's getting them. She's gonna be so excited. Anyway, I wanted to give her something to use her markers on, so I think the butcher paper is the perfect thing. So, that's my plan. Don't tell her, okay? So, I hope that you have a very awesome art-filled Christmas, just like we are going to have in this household. So I am at the part of this sketch where all of the midtones are done. I'm starting to work on getting the shadows down, and with that will come trying to get the shapes round looking. So all of the parts that are on the end that are further away from you, like the backside of the arm or like the skirt that's rounding backwards, those need to get pushed off into the distance so that they actually look round and not flat on the page. So we have some good like shading going on, but once we add in getting the shapes round, it's going to be amazing. But for now, we just have to stay one thing at a time, don't get ahead of ourselves, and we are getting the shadows in. I really like to use this dark red color for shadows, and I found that I also really like to use dark blue for the shadows. This is also the time where I'm starting to experiment with some crazy colors everywhere and just kind of pushing the limits of what's normal and what's not normal, what's like magical, out of this world. And I start to push some of the colors on this girl's face a lot, and this is the point where she turns into my favorite person that I've ever drawn. I'm coloring her cheeks in this really bright orange color, and then just blending it out with different, colors. Pink and a little bit of green and some blue around the edges. And then I love her so much, so I do that with the other two boys, and they all just somehow come to life. It happened exactly when I started putting color in between their eyes. Isn't that interesting? That's so crazy to me. That's the spot that brought them to life for me. So I'm just kind of pushing it just a little bit further and trying not to like go overboard with it, and adding in some shadows where I absolutely know that there needs to be shadows, and then I add this white to her cheeks and to all of the other cheeks, and look at how happy she looks. I hope that we all can feel that joy someday. I'm gonna try using a little bit of blue for like some shadow to push this part back. So I'm doing blue around the very outer edges of just like super misty looking. And then some yellow for just on the inner part of the blue to try to add some brightness right next to that darkness. Like the juxtaposition between the light and the dark is like, it's amazing right here. So I'm gonna go around and add just a little bit of finishing touches. Here we go. This is the final product. I love them so incredibly much, and Santa just was taunting me. So I am adding in just a little bit more vibrancy to Santa, some more colors, because I had so much fun doing that with the carolers, so I'm doing it to Santa, even though he's supposed to be done. I do think that this Santa is absolutely hilarious to me because he looks like a biker. It has to do a lot with the dark glasses, and it also is like his really long hair. he just looks, I think it's also maybe his mustache, because I didn't curl his mustache upwards and I kept it down. I think that might have lent to the biker-esque quality of him. He's definitely one of those Santas that's riding a motorcycle, so I guess that's all I'm trying to say. So I am going and adding in some highlights on the right side, and then on the left side I'm gonna add, just some layers of blue, and we'll see what needs to be added once this step is done. I'd like these ears to pop a little bit more and for the hair to be pushed back. So I'm gonna add a little bit extra shadow just behind the ears. And there we go. I'm happy with how Santa turned out compared to how he used to be. Cindy Lou Who, she's amazing. And these carolers have my heart. I love how this red turned out. I had so much fun doing this, especially because it's Christmas. So have a Merry Christmas. And I hope that you are just doing great, and I love you all. Thank you for watching. Toodaloo.